Alrighty, guys. QBs are on the move. Carson Wentz might not be in Philadelphia anymore. Well, he probably will be, bringing a tear to my eye. More importantly, though, Matt Stafford on the move in Detroit. Stafford might be one of the most underrated quarterbacks out there, but is he worth a first rounder? Let's start
Not at
off with
all.
Isis. All right, not at all. Wow.
Well, it's not the fact that he himself isn't worth a first round pick. It's the way the Lions went about saying they want to get rid of him. They had all the leverage in the world if someone was going to call up and say, "Hey, what do you want for Stafford?" Right? Instead of they let the stupid whatever leak go out to the media saying, "Yeah, we decided to part ways." Once you say that, I can't believe a team would give up a first round pick. Like literally, you can give up probably a second round pick and get him. There's no way that he's worth a first round pick at this point. It's just so stupid. Like whoever the GM of the Lions is, he needs to get fired immediately because he's a fucking idiot. Like literally, how can you you have to hold your cards so close to your chest that you can't let any team know what you're doing because then you can get the most out of the player you're trying to trade. Like if you look at Joe Douglas, the Jets GM, he got 2 first round picks for a safety who can't cover anybody. You got a quarterback who has probably 3 more years left who at an elite level. You got to keep that close to your chest and tell them, yeah, give me a first round pick when people call you because people are going to call.
So I agree with you. I think the GM handled this entire situation really poorly, and he did lose leverage. But that doesn't mean there's not a demand out there for a guy like Matt Stafford. Yes, he's got a pussy shoulder. Always has. He's still a guy that he shows how big his balls are every single season. He's got a beautiful sidearm. And he can just move his arm in different angles that every single quarterback just can't replicate. Even Pat Mahomes sometimes. I mean, we've seen it all over Twitter. They're like, oh, if Pat Mahomes did this, like they'll be looking at like a Matt Stafford throw and they'll be like, oh, if Pat Mahomes did this, this would be everywhere. Matt Stafford does those throws a couple times every single game. Do I think he's like this super elite quarterback? No, I think he's great. I think there are 4 teams that would send. I think there are 4 teams that have a huge demand for a quarterback that are win now, and 3 or 4 teams, I should say. And I think because of that, a first round pick is not. It's not crazy. And honestly, I could very well see a first round pick being sent. He still has a couple years left.
So let me ask you, who's on that list?
So the 4 teams that I have listed, I might be missing someone. Who knows? So I have the Colts, the Patriots. The Patriots are the one team that I'm not sure win now if they get like a Matt Stafford. Who knows what they surround that roster with. But then I have the 49ers and the Redskins. Or
Whoa.
Wow.
back up. The football team.
Cancel. Muted.
Yep, mute him.
Tony Reale,
yeah.
Yeah. God. No, I'm not muting you, but let me ask you, do you think there's a chance that he ends up in any one of those 4 teams? Or do you see him going elsewhere?
I can't believe that this man, the biggest homer I've ever met in the history of homers, didn't say either the Nets or the Colts because Matt Stafford has. He did say the Colts. Oh, then I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. Well, I'm surprised he didn't say the Nets.
And the Nets might get him. They're looking for a 4th star.
Yeah, they need a center. They need a physical presence down low, to quote the Hebrew Hammer.
They're gonna get Kevin Love, guys. They're gonna trade for a $30 million contract.
We're gonna talk about that in a bit. I promise you, because I feel like we have to talk about that.
Go back though.
But going back, Jesus.
If within those 4 teams, I think the Patriots are one of the better teams that he could go to. I think they would give him that first round pick because I don't think that Bill Belichick wants to get a young quarterback and groom him. The guy only has so much time left, and I think he's going for the all-time wins record, which he's relatively close. I think he's like 50 wins away. So that's like 4 or 5 years if he wins 10 games. But I don't think he wants to get that like young guy that he has to, teach and who's going to have growing pains and, won't be able to win right away. So I think the Patriots are going to be the most likely suitor for him. And they have the cap space this year to bring him in. He's like on a 10-year, like he's $10 million per year. And then they can use that extra money to get him a good wide receiver because that's what they need really. And that defense is coming back and they could win probably 12 games next year.
So, but like, I agree with you. I think they're a likely team that very well could get him. But then you look at the other three teams, and it's like you look at those three teams, and you think that they also want to groom a young quarterback. Like the Colts, hell, they traded for the corpse of Phillip Rivers last year, and it almost worked out. The Niners, they groomed Jimmy G, and that didn't work out. And then the Redskins, they wasted the football team.
Man. Come on.
They wasted a high pick on Haskins, made him a leader, and he just completely fumbled the bag. It's like, unless you think there's a guy there that's going to take you to the next level, I don't know if anyone in this draft other than Lawrence is going to give you what Stafford does right now. You have an elite defense. You have a guy like Gibson who's just going to go crazy. You have a stud receiver in McLaurin. None of those guys are even getting paid yet. You got a guy in the short term, and all of a sudden that team is the best in the East with a shot to compete. They're a good quarterback away from being a really good team.
See, I don't know if their defense is going to be all that great again next year. Like you always see these defenses that are like good one year and then trash the next. I mean, look at the Bills. They had an elite defense and now they're trash.
They lost
half
the defense though.
When did they lose half the defense?
In the offseason.
Because they didn't get re-signed or something? Or was it COVID?
I mean, it was a lot of reasons. They just significantly got worse. I mean, they did improve late in the year, but they were not that top unit that they were.
I think that out of anybody, I think the best place for him, I think the Colts, they have a good offensive line, but I don't think their receivers are all that good. And I think the Patriots just make too much sense. He could literally be what Cam Newton was supposed to be this year, a big arm that can throw down the field and can get you touchdowns easily.
I just think, you look at the defense. It's a really young defense that is going to be very good in the future with a ton of cap space too. And like they're paying like $50 million just to two quarterbacks right now. Those guys are off the books. You can use another $20 million somewhere else. Who knows? Maybe they get his boy Kenny G.
I don't know. I don't know if they can finesse that, but
why couldn't they? They have the most cap space in the league right now, I believe.
No, the Colts.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're too much of a homer. You don't look at stats.
Well, they have $50 million plus whatever they have right now clearing up.
I don't know. I would look into that because the Jets have the second most, and I think the Jaguars have the first most.
Yeah, that might be it. They're top three. But I could see all three of those teams. Niners, hopefully the team gets healthy and COVID free because they're going to be really good. If he went there, they would have Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, plus 8 running backs, really good line, and a defense that should be better next year. So that's still a good team.
The defense actually may not be that good next year.
Not as bad as this year, but
they're still a top 5 defense.
Were they? Even with all that stuff going on?
Yeah.
Damn. That's crazy. But yeah, I could see any of those 4 teams. I personally think he's worth a first just because of the demand that he has right now.
I think what the Lions should do is they should trade for a GM and send that GM for Matt Stafford because their GM is just stupid and never should have a job. Like I would know what to do more than that moron. It's crazy. I can't believe it.